Hello and welcome to another video in Microsoft Azure series. My name is Faisal, and in this video I will show you how to provision virtual machine in Microsoft Azure Cloud. As we know, Microsoft Azure provides many different type of offerings. You can create your disaster recovery sites. As a matter of fact, you can have your own entire production site in Microsoft Azure. Have different type of solutions that suits your environment and organization needs. And one of the function that you will do while you're doing all this exciting stuff is provisioning virtual machines that will carry your workload. So that's what we will discuss in this video on the basics of provisioning virtual machine in Microsoft Azure Cloud. As we all know, the first thing first, what you need in order to work with Microsoft Azure is an active Microsoft Azure subscription. So I have login to portal, which is https portal.azure.com, login by using my credentials, and I'm into the dashboard of Microsoft Azure. I have defined one virtual network or Azure network of 172.16.0.0, and I have one subnet in it called 172.16.1.0/24. When you want to provision virtual machines, the first thing you do, you go to virtual machines. I'll click add, and here I'll mention the type of VMs I would like to create. Subscription is free trial. This is my resource group that I have created in one of my past videos. I'm talking about the Azure DR site where I provision a domain controller in disaster recovery site. VM name, I would say, let's say test VM1. Region Australia East is fine. And availability group, availability options, I would like to make it highly available, so I will say no infrastructure redundancy required. Image type, here it's the operating system. I will choose Windows Server 2016 Data Center. Size wise, by default, it's giving me standard DS1 version 2, which is 1 vCPU, 3.5 gigs memory, because in the past I have provisioned using this sizing. I'm okay with it because it's just a test. Username and password. Verify the password. Inbound ports for public. Yes, I would like to access this machine using RDP from the internet, using on over public IP address. And I don't have existing Windows license, so I will go next for hard drives. Here, what type of OS hard drives I need? Premium SSD or standard SSD or a standard hard drive? Standard hard drives are okay with me. And would I like to use unmanaged disks? If I say no, then Microsoft Azure will manage my hard drives, which is the best way to do it. Otherwise, I can specify a storage account and save virtual machines into that storage account if I have any. So I would like to use unmanaged disk. So in this case, it prompts me to create a storage account. So I will create one storage account and I will call this a storage account. I will call this storage account IT Sense Storage 1. Sorry, IT Sense Storage 1. Type, I will choose storage version 2, general purpose. Performance is standard, and replication wise, locally redundant, which is a redundancy within a data center. Uh, is fine with me. And I will say, okay. All right. Once I select this, I will go next for networking. By default, my virtual network, which I have, is selected. Subnet is also selected. It will provision one new public IP for me because I mentioned that I want to connect this VM over public IP and I want to RDP to it. Default network security group with the basic configuration will also be created, and these ports will be allowed. And next to management, I will choose default. Next is get guest config, nothing much. I don't want to define any tags. And finally, a review, and all is the pricing. All looks good for me to me, and I'll say create. And it started to create or deploy this virtual machine. While it's provisioning this virtual machine, I would like to show you how many type of virtual machines you can create. And they are all sorts of. For example, if I go add and look at this, Ubuntu, Red Hat, CentOS, Microsoft Windows 10, and Windows Server, all sorts of virtual machines you can create and provision and use in your solution inside Microsoft Azure Cloud. So it's still in the process of deploying my VM. All right, as you can see, the status is creating. So we have to wait a little bit. So what I will do, I will pause the video and I will come back when it's done. Okay, I got an idea. While it is creating this VM, ah, okay, deployment succeeded. I was about to say that while it's creating this VM, and which is, as it looks like it's already doing that, it's about to finish creating this VM. Let's create one more VM. So for that purpose, I will go again, choose the same resource group. This time I'll call test VM2. I think, yeah. Test VM2, Australia East. I don't want any availability sets, although, just to show you, there is an option if you want high availability, as you can see. To provide redundancy to your application, we recommend that you group two or more virtual machines in an availability set. That provides like 99.95% Azure availability as per Azure SLA agreement. But in my case, I am not doing any availability sets. The image type, and this time let us choose 2012 data center. I want to change size, then I will click here and it will show me different options that I have. As you can see, different vCPUs and RAM size, and each has a different cost, which is per month. So I am at just the lab. I will choose this one, which is 1 vCPU, 2 gigs RAM. Select and I would like to use the IT Sense admin account. Okay. I would also like to RDP into this. And I don't have a Windows license. So next disk. I will again choose standard hard drive. I don't want to use unmanaged, right? I want to create and attach a new disk, and disk type is standard hard drive. Name it this. Size 60 gig is enough. And source type, I will choose just an empty disk. Click OK. And if I say used unmanaged disks, again, as you can see, it will ask for the storage account, and I can choose the existing storage account, right? So that's how I wanted to show you the difference in the strategy. That if we choose used unmanaged disk, yes, then means I will be managing it. But if I say no, it means I'm using the managed disk service of Microsoft Azure. Then Azure will take care of, you know, putting hard drives or storing it to a certain locations, and will ask me what type of hard drives I would like to create. So if I go, as I have already a storage account, so I would like to go for the unmanaged hard drives. So I choose my storage account, and as it says, adding unmanaged data disk is not currently supported. So next, Azure network is fine, new public IP is fine, RDP is fine, network security group fine, next, and next, review and create. And while it's creating test VM2, let's go back to VM and see test VM1. Oh, test VM1 is up and running. Awesome. So while test VM2 is in creation is in progress, test VM2 is up and running. So if I click that, I have an option to connect. So if I click connect, it will download an RDP file. Oh, sorry, it will allow me to download an RDP file. And this is the public IP of that system. So I download the RDP file here and open it. Say connect. Ask me for password and username. So it was, and let's see. Yeah, and all good. I'm able to RDP into it, which is really good stuff, as you can see. It's preparing desktop for me, and here it is. Okay, so I'm in the RDP session, and you can see I just need to adjust the RDP window so I can cover the whole thing. But as you can see, I'm RDPing to this test VM over public IP address, which is assigned by Microsoft Azure. And it's running at the moment. And these are the disks. It has just one disk at 127 gig. Let's say I want to add one more data disk. So click add. I'll choose default name, empty disk, standard hard drive, and I will say 60 gig is enough. And storage container, I will choose IT Sense storage and VHDs, which is a container inside my storage account. Click OK. And it's adding another hard drive. And I'll say save. And now it's updating virtual machine hard drives. So if I go to virtual machine RDP session and uh, sorry about that. Computer management. Disk management. Yep, and here's the 60 gig hard drive, which I can create a partition, let's say data. Okay, so disk is ready. So if I go to uh, so if I go to Windows Explorer, PC, I will be able to see the 60 gig hard drive. Also, I will see something called D drive, which is temporary storage. You will always see that. This is the temporary storage where Azure VMs store temporary cached files. Don't save anything into D drive because that's a temporary storage and it will be, if you restart the VM, all the files on this temporary storage will be lost. So I have C drive and F drive for my data, and it's a Windows Server 2016. I can install different roles. I can do all sorts of things. Don't install. I want to install applications. I can do that. If I want to install any roles or features, I can do that. So my VM is there. While we discuss about VM1, let's see VM2. And VM2 is also ready. Perfect. So VM2 connect. Let's download the RDP file for test VM2. And IT Sense admin. Yep. Okay. So it's preparing the desktop for me. And while it's preparing the desktop, uh, actually it's already did. While I was talking to you, as you can see, test VM2. Just trying to adjust under the area, the recording area. Yeah, there we go. And if I go to computer management or Windows Explorer, it has just one drive, the default one, and a temporary storage. All right. So if I right click here, command prompt admin, and ipconfig, I have one IP address, 192.168, oh sorry, 172.168.1.5. This is the internal IP address. And if I go to test VM1 and do the same thing with test VM1, ipconfig, and test VM1 internal IP is 172.168.1.4. So 172.168.1.4 is test VM1 and 1.5 is test VM2. So they are on the same network. So what if I try to ping 172.168.1.5, which is test VM2, and I can't, right? What could be the reason? Two things. Two possibilities. Either there is the local firewall which is blocking ping, or both VMs have their separate network security groups. So I have to make exceptions either in network security groups, right? So if I go and go to control panel of this machine and Windows Firewall, and let me temporarily disable Windows Firewall on test VM1. Okay, and I'll do the same for test VM2. Okay, let's try to ping 172.616.1.4, which is test VM1, and I can ping it because I have disabled the local firewall of test VM1. But I cannot ping from test VM1 to test VM2 because test VM2 still have a local firewall enabled, which is not allowing ICMP or ping. So if I go to control panel here, and again, sorry, um, go to Windows Firewall. Off and off, and click OK. And I switch to test VM1. Here you go. And the reason that I'm able to ping that if I go to the networking of test VM2, right, and test VM2 has an NSG, a network security group, which is inbound, which is allowing any to any from any virtual networks. As both of my VM on the virtual network, as a matter of fact, they are on the same virtual network, so all traffic is allowed. They both have their own network security groups, but in both security groups, but in both network security groups, there is a rule that allows all traffic from any virtual network, and that's how they're able to ping. If you see that a network security group or NSG for test VM2 is testvm2.nsg, if I go to testvm1, it is testvm1.nsg. And both NSG have their own inbound and outbound rule. However, there is one default inbound rule that allows any traffic from any virtual network inbound as well as outbound. And that's why both VMs are able to communicate with each other. So I think that's pretty much it. And other things, as I mentioned again previously, it's the availability sets, disk to add another disk. These are the networking settings. If you want to have a static IP address or IP change, you can always do the from here. You can create exception on network security groups. So auto shutdown settings, backup settings. So that's pretty much it for this video, which is creating virtual machines in Microsoft Azure Cloud. Thanks for watching.